Hello, good morning. Since it's the last week for the MCO, I'm thinking of taking out the tools to get it sharpened so that once the MCO is over, we can do whatever we have been doing now. And this is what we call sharpening your tools. When we have the time for a master always keep their tools sharp. So I have pruning scissors here, which I use most of the time. I'm taking it apart so that I can have it sharpened. So it's rather easy. Take out the pivoting screw. So once you got the pivoting screw out, you can disassemble it. Be a bit careful for those that have what we call a retentioning spring, yeah? And do not lose any of these parts, otherwise you will not be able to assemble it back. What I'll do is that I'll give it a quick wash. Yeah, luckily my wife is not influenced. Make use of the kitchen. Yeah, give it a quick wash, and we are ready. And this is my favorite pruning grafting knife. Is which again I stole from the kitchen. You know, if you look closely, there is a brand there. It's like two person holding hands. I can't read because it's too small. But anyway, this is a good knife, which I like. The previous one I've lost. The previous one was what we call a paring knife. The top has what we call a hawk beak. This is more straight. I think it's a fruit knife or something. Before you sharpen, again, depending on your what you call it, your preference. Some people sharpen one edge and flat on the other. Some people just use a double edge. To me, because this blade is not thick, it's very fine, so it doesn't really matter. And I graft mostly avocado and some durians, and even for those very critical cuts, I use the shaving blades. This is more for a general type of knife. Okay, before you sharpen, take note of the what we call the bevel edge. So let's put it this way. So if you sharpen it very narrow, it's very sharp, but it will not last. But then if you sharpen it on this angle, then it's not sharp, but it will last a longer time. So again, depending on your preference. What I found out is that my grafting rates, what we call a success rate, is correlated to the sharpness of your knife. If your knife has a very sharp edge, give you a very clean cut, the chances of it taking is very much higher. If your blade is blunt, you don't get a very good cut. It's not flat, and the chances of it sticking is very less. During my initial practicing time, when you are not successful, then you start to think a lot of things. You need a better knife, you need a special knife, you need all sorts of equipment. That is not true. After thousands of grafts, I find that it's not true. Everything is back to the basic cambium contact. So I'm sharpening this knife more towards grafting, not for household reason. Okay, let's start with the pruning scissors. So one side is flat, one side is bevel. So this is quite rather difficult to sharpen. But this part is actually used for the shear, so you don't actually need. So we have a very rough side and a very fine side. Soak it with water. In my experience, I find that having a good what you call sharpening stones matters. Initially, I was using those very cheap type. When you sharpen, you get a lot of powders and all that, and also it doesn't last. Then I invested on, I couldn't remember the brand of this, but it is rather costly. It's about close to about 50 ringgit for a piece of sharpening stone. But this is very good. A few stroke and the thing is very sharpened. Okay, this side we have to keep it flat. So we have to do a rough sharpening to cut off whatever imperfection. So we have to keep this very flat here. So after a few strokes, you'll be able to see that it's quite flat. Yeah. Then we finish it off with a smooth side, but you have to keep the pressure consistent and the flatness all the time. That I think is quite flat already. The tricky part is this side. We can't grind because it's not. It's quite circular, so I don't think I can do anything more. I think maybe on the front side I can do some smoothing. This one I guess you need a special equipment to do this, but yeah, this is what I can do. It's not good, but you know, it's better than okay. You can feel the sharpness on the edge. Yeah, it's better than it were before. Yeah. Okay, we got one part on. Okay, this part is easier. The flat side. Let's wet this with a bit of water. Okay, same thing. It's much easier. So let's finish this off with the smoothing side. Yep, it's pretty flat now. Yeah, you can feel that the edge is quite sharp. Okay, over on this side, we will use back the original bevel angle, and okay, you can use a finger to feel the angle. Just do a quick inspection whether you got the angle right. So if it's not, then of course you can tell by the color of the bevel. Yeah, some of that. Let's smoothen it out. Yeah. So let's finish off the other side. And yep, we've got it for the pruning scissors. Okay, for pruning scissors, when the edge are not sharp, so when you prune it, the shear strength is very strong, and it kind of like compress the stalk or the stem of the plant. And the reason that is made curve is that, you know, when you slide this over it, it provides a movement. So it's not a direct shear. It's like a side shear that gives it a smoother cut. And if your shear scissors is sharp, then of course the compression when you crush, it's not that strong. So it's just back to assembling. Don't forget your washer, your screw, and put a bit of oil. Once you're finished, then it's ready to go. And for all the scissors, you got to adjust and align once you have installed. Do not do it too tight, otherwise it will obstruct your cut. Now this is too tight, so release back slightly so you get a very smooth movement, and you can top it up with some lubricant and lock it up with the screw on the rear. And all the time comparing the action is still smooth. So if it's not, you need to adjust it slightly. I think it's best that you use two tools to get this alignment right. Otherwise, sometimes it's too tight, sometimes it's too loose. Yeah. Once you got it, put back your spring. These are very good pruning scissors, which I like. It's heavy duty and very reliable, good to use, and it's rather cheap. But the only setback is that sometimes the spring get loosened, it jumps off track, and it's rather difficult to find. So there's a catch. That ready for the pruning system. Okay, now let's move on to my grafting knife. This is supposed to be a very good knife. I think I have a bigger one. Yeah. This is the bigger one that my wife is using. Notice that brand there? You see like there's two people holding hands. You can buy this off the internet. A good knife. But don't lose it. So okay, one side I try to flatten it. But it's okay, you can use a double bevel type of thing. Just get back the original, use a hand to feel the well, you can feel the sharpness. Yeah. So the secret is to invest in a very good sharpening stone. So again, you feel the sharpness with your finger. Do not cut yourself. Well, it's not sharp enough. Yeah. Well, it's quite sharp knife. I tend to use this knife for semi-matured and matured stem or trunk or whatever. I will use this knife because this is more heavy duty. And for the very young and immature, I tend to use a razor blade. Those olden razor blades that you use for shaving. You can get it off the internet. It's quite cheap. For semi-matured and matured one, because the texture of the stem is harder, and the shaving blade is very soft, so rather difficult to control. And when you do your cut, it tends to rotate and doesn't give you a flat surface. But then for very young shoots or sions that you're using, then it is very soft, so it's like slicing on, and they give you a good cut. If the sion or rootstock has hardened out, then you need a knife, more stable knife that you can control. As again, these are knife, it cuts and all that, so be a bit careful. So that's all for today. We got this sharpened. We are ready. Sharpening your tools. Get prepared. Once the MCO is over, we can go to our farm, go to our garden, go to our community garden, and do whatever we want. Yeah. See you.